If you've ever wondered what WNBA life looks like when the cameras are off and the arena lights are out, Caitlin Clark's birthday just gave everyone a pretty good glimpse. Caitlin turned 22 on Thursday, and as you'd expect, social media did what social media does. Teammates, brands, fans, college accounts, everyone jumped in to wish her a happy birthday. But in the middle of all that noise, one post cut through and became the center of attention, a tribute from her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey. Now, if you follow Caitlin even a little bit, you know Connor is not just some random guy who shows up in the background of photos. He played at Iowa, he's a hoops guy through and through, and now he's working as an assistant coach with Butler. He's been around elite basketball environments for years, so he understands exactly what Caitlin's life looks like under this spotlight. That's part of why fans are so invested in their relationship. It feels like a partnership built on shared grind and shared pressure. On his Instagram, Connor dropped a birthday post that was simple but loaded with emotion. He wished her a happy birthday, called her CC, talked about how much joy and laughter she brings to his everyday life, and hinted that 2026 is going to be huge for her. He finished it off by saying he loves her, adding the kind of emojis that make it really clear it wasn't just a generic caption. It read like something you write to someone who's an actual part of your daily world, not just your public image. The little detail that had people talking was the happy 24th in the caption, even though she just turned 22. Whether that was an inside joke, a typo, or something between the two of them that fans aren't meant to decode, it became part of the conversation too. Caitlin didn't seem bothered at all. She jumped into the comments and responded with a long, stretched out, "Love you," and a heart. It was the kind of reply that tells you, yeah, whatever that number was, she got the message loud and clear. But as sweet as that exchange was, the moment that really stole the scene came from someone else entirely, Sophie Cunningham. If you follow the W, you already know Sophie doesn't exactly blend into the background. After 6 seasons with the Phoenix Mercury, she landed with the Indiana Fever in 2025 and brought exactly what people expected: edge, energy, shooting, and a lot of personality. It didn't take long for her to click with Caitlin Clark on and off the floor. On court, they've been building chemistry. Off court, they've been building a genuinely fun friendship. So it was very on brand for Sophie to slide into the comments of that romantic post and hit Connor with a question fans were secretly thinking anyway. What did you get her for her birthday? No shade, no drama, just pure, playful curiosity. And of course, fans loved it. Instantly, everyone was locked in, scrolling to see if Connor would answer. Up to now, he hasn't responded publicly, which almost makes it funnier. It's like Sophie said out loud what thousands of fans were wondering. Okay, the caption is cute, but what's the actual present? That one comment did a couple of things at once. First, it showed how comfortable Sophie is within that circle. She clearly has enough of a bond with Caitlin and Connor to publicly tease him without it feeling awkward or disrespectful. Second, it gave fans a very real reminder that these people are not just jerseys on a court. They're friends who joke, poke fun at each other, and live normal moments around all the professional pressure. What's interesting here is that Sophie's interaction wasn't coming from some anonymous troll account or a gossip page. It came from a teammate who has been right next to Caitlin all season, in practices, on planes, on buses, in hotels. If anyone has earned the right to jump into the comments and keep it light, it's her. The response from fans under that question was a mix of amusement and curiosity. Some people were laughing at Sophie calling him out. Others were throwing out guesses: shoes, jewelry, a trip, something sentimental from their Iowa days. No one knew the answer, but that wasn't really the point. The fun of it was seeing that there's enough comfort and connection in that group for this kind of public, good-natured banter. And that takes us to the bigger picture, what this says about the Indiana Fever and the dynamic around Caitlin Clark right now. On the floor during the 2025 season, Caitlin wasn't just another player, she was the engine. She put up about 16.5 points per game, nearly 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. Those are serious numbers, especially for someone still so early in their pro career. She's not just scoring, she's orchestrating the offense, reading defenses like a veteran, and changing the way opponents game plan night after night. The Fever have made it very clear how central she is to their future, locking her in under contract through 2027. But that birthday post and everything around it remind us that her life is not just stat lines and pick and rolls. There's a real person there, someone whose boyfriend values her joy as much as her three-point percentage, someone whose teammates feel close enough to poke fun under a romantic caption, someone whose day isn't just game day intensity 24/7. Now look at Sophie's side of the situation. Her season in Indiana wasn't smooth sailing from start to finish. She played all 44 games, which in itself is huge. That's a durability badge most players would love to wear. She averaged 7.2 points, 4.3 rebounds, and around 1.8 assists. Not superstar numbers, but solid all-around production for a player asked to fill multiple roles. And she did that while dealing with physical setbacks, including back problems that easily could have sidelined her. Instead of shutting it down, she worked with the training staff, managed her minutes and rest, and kept finding ways to contribute. That kind of discipline is the stuff coaches talk about constantly, but fans sometimes miss because it doesn't always show up in a highlights reel. So when she jumps into Instagram to keep things light on Caitlin's birthday, you're seeing both sides of who she is: competitor and comedian, grinder and glue. Teammates like that are invaluable. They bridge gaps between stars and role players, between coaches and locker rooms, between intense nights and much-needed off days. From an on-front office perspective, all of this adds another layer to an already interesting off-season question. Caitlin is locked in with the Fever through 2027, so everyone knows she's a foundational piece. Sophie, on the other hand, came in on a one-year deal that is now expired. That means Indiana has to decide whether they want to bring her back and what that might look like contract-wise. On paper, you're evaluating shooting, defense, versatility, health, but chemistry is a real part of that equation too. Clips like this birthday exchange, while silly on the surface, tell you something important. This is someone who fits. This is someone who lightens the mood. This is someone who interacts naturally with your franchise player and her circle. That's the kind of thing that doesn't go on a contract, but absolutely gets talked about in meetings. The reality is, in a league as competitive as the WNBA, rosters are fluid. You can't keep everyone forever, and decisions are often ruthless. But the Fever are trying to build something sustainable around Caitlin Clark. You don't just need talent, you need the right personalities, the right mix, the right energy. Sophie Cunningham's playful comment on Connor's post is one more sign that she has blended smoothly into the Fever's cultural fabric, on and off the court. There's also something bigger happening here with how fans engage with the W. This isn't like the old days when all you saw of players was a quick shot during national anthems, then game footage, then maybe a quote in the paper. Now, fans are following Instagram stories, reading comments, noticing who likes whose post, who jokes with who. They're reading relationships the way people read box scores. Caitlin and Connor's exchange gave people that romantic, supportive, "we're in this together" vibe. Sophie's question flipped the tone just enough to make it feel like a group hangout rather than a polished couples post. And that blend is exactly what keeps people locked in. You get the sweet side, the fun side, the human side, all attached to what you already see on the court. When you zoom out, moments like this are great PR for the league without anyone trying too hard to make it that. You've got one of the faces of the W being openly celebrated by her partner, embraced by her teammates, and clearly enjoying her early 20s despite all the pressure. You've got a veteran like Sophie showing her sense of humor, her comfort level, her one-of-the-gang presence. It makes the Fever feel less like just a franchise name and more like a group of actual people fans can root for. And for Caitlin, whose every move gets analyzed, criticized, praised, or debated, these glimpses into her real life are important. They remind everyone that behind the logo, the stats, the debates on talk shows and timelines, she's still a young woman turning 22, celebrating with the guy she loves, getting roasted a little by a teammate in the comments, and laughing at all of it. That balance between being one of the most talked about athletes in the sport and still finding room to just be herself is not easy. The fact that we're even talking about an Instagram comment today shows you how closely every detail of her world is watched. But if she can keep handling that attention with the same kind of grounded, playful energy we saw around her birthday, she'll be fine. So yes, we can break down her shooting splits, her assist numbers, how the Fever offense looks with her at the helm. We can dig into whether Sophie's contract should be renewed and what she brings to the roster structurally. That all matters, but every once in a while, it's worth pausing to look at the human side of this. A boyfriend posting a heartfelt message, a teammate barging into the comments asking the real question, and a fan base that feels close enough to all of them to care. Whatever Connor actually got Caitlin for her birthday, we may or may not ever know, but what we did get out of this little social media moment is clear. Proof that the Indiana Fever's world is more than just basketball. It's friendships, relationships, inside jokes, and tiny windows into their real lives that make following this team and this league feel personal.
If you're a WNBA fan, especially a Fever fan, these are the things you file away in the back of your mind. Because the next time you see Caitlin and Sophie sharing a laugh in warm-ups, or see Connor sitting courtside quietly cheering her on, you'll remember that what you're watching isn't just a team, it's a group of people living all the same highs, jokes, and birthday questions the rest of us do, just under a much brighter spotlight.